Today, Nara's Todai-ji Temple stands as one of the world's largest wooden buildings.
This massive sanctuary attracts millions of global travelers and pilgrims every single year. Inside rests the Great Buddha, a giant bronze icon towering over 15 meters in height.
The monumental bronze casting weighs hundreds of tons, enduring through centuries of time.
This structure has survived countless earthquakes, dynamic political shifts, and fires. And its sheer scale defies the apparent limits of 8th century architectural capabilities.
To understand this feat, we must gaze past the modern facade into the ancient imperial past.
How did an ancient civilization construct such a colossal monument without modern machines?
Historians believe that in the early 700s, this entire region was a quiet, forested valley.
Japan was suffering from devastating smallpox outbreaks and severe social unrest.
Seeking divine protection, Emperor Shomu issued a bold decree to build a supreme temple.
The monumental project aimed to unify the fractured nation under a shared Buddhist faith.
In the year 745, the permanent site for this grand spiritual venture was finally chosen. With sacred rituals performed, the physical transformation of the Nara Valley began.
Thousands of skilled laborers first cleared away acres of dense, primeval forest. The natural hills were methodically flattened to create a massive, stable terrace. Teams pounded layers of clay and sand together to form a solid, earthquake-resistant foundation. Massive base stones were systematically transported to the site from distant quarries. Masons painstakingly shaped each stone to support the tremendous weight of the main hall pillars. By 747, a massive stone-faced platform stood ready to anchor the colossal wooden frame.
Gigantic cedar logs were sourced from sacred forests all across the distant provinces.
Moving these massive pillars required immense coordination and pure, coordinative human strength.
Master joiners cut complex, interlocking joints that required absolutely no metal nails.
The erection of the primary pillars marked the true beginning of the structural build. Dozens of primary vertical columns were soon secured, forming a colossal grid across the terrace. Heavy tie beams were meticulously fitted to interlock, distributing the tremendous physical forces evenly. Complex bracketing systems were layered upward, designed to support the massive roof overhangs.
By the late 740s, the skeletal framework of the Grand Hall stood incredibly complete.
A colossal, multi-layered clay core was built directly at the center of the hall.
The piecemeal casting process required building the statue upward in 8 separate vertical segments.
Scores of clay furnaces melted hundreds of tons of copper, tin, and gold.
Liquid metal was continuously poured into the molds to form the massive lotus pedestal.
As each section solidified, the casting floor was raised with massive mounds of earth. This ingenious process was repeated multiple times over years to build the massive torso. Finally, the serene head and face were cast, completing the monumental metal figure. Months were spent carefully digging out the interior earth to fully unveil the statue. The monumental bronze figure finally stood exposed, a true marvel of ancient engineering.
Craftsmen painstakingly smoothed the casting seams before the final gilding process could begin. With the Buddha cast, work shifted to enclosing the structure with a massive roof. Thousands of heavy, fired clay tiles were systematically secured across the expansive upper slopes. The wide, sweeping eaves were precisely balanced using highly sophisticated traditional joinery methods. Massive wooden walls and intricate lattice windows were steadily installed to seal the sanctuary. Inside, teams began coating the colossal bronze icon with brilliant layers of pure gold.
The internal wooden ceilings were richly adorned with vibrant colors and geometric patterns.
Gigantic wooden entrance doors were finally mounted, completing the main hall's perimeter securement.
In 752, a grand ceremony was held to symbolically open the Buddha's eyes.
Thousands of international dignitaries and monks attended this monumental state consecration event. Temples. The completed temple complex stood as the absolute center of Japan's national Buddhist network.
For decades, the temple complex thrived as a bustling center of spiritual learning and political power.
Scholars from across Asia gathered here to transcribe vital scriptures and debate deep philosophy. The vast complex housed thousands of irreplaceable sacred texts, historical documents, and relics. Two massive twin pagodas once soared nearly 100 meters high beside the central hall. Annual rituals bound the common people tightly to the state's grand religious monument. The temple's enormous influence steadily grew, deeply swaying the early Japanese imperial court. Yet, this monumental wooden sanctuary would soon face the volatile currents of civil warfare.
By the late 12th century, bitter political rivalries pushed Japan into a brutal civil war.
Clashing military factions turned the peaceful sacred grounds into a violent, blood-soaked battlefield. In 1180, a catastrophic assault by Taira forces ignited a massive, unstoppable firestorm. The magnificent wooden hall and its towering twin pagodas burned completely to the ground. Even the great Buddha suffered immense damage, losing its head in the intense inferno. The pride of Nara lay in complete ruins, seemingly lost forever to history. A massive nationwide fundraising campaign quickly gathered the resources to restore Todaiji. The reconstruction utilized new architectural styles imported directly from Song Dynasty China. The majestic Great South Gate was successfully rebuilt, boasting an imposing new design. Master sculptors Unkei and Kaikei carved the fierce Neo-Guardians in record time. The giant Buddha's head was painstakingly recast, restoring the icon's original serene expression.
Though scaled down slightly, the rebuilt hall remained a massive triumph of resilience.
The enduring heart of Todaiji is the complex engineering of its giant bronze statue. Each engraved petal represents a distinct Buddhist cosmos, showing incredible 8th century artistry. The statue was built using an incredible technique of overlapping cast bronze rings. A famous massive rear pillar features a tight opening equal to the Buddha's nostril. The elaborate wooden halo holds dozens of smaller, beautifully carved spiritual manifestations. The majestic raised right hand forms the mudra of reassurance, comforting the entire nation. Engineers used complex wooden scaffolding frameworks to stabilize the massive interior elements. The interlocking timber grid allowed the massive roof to flex safely during intense earthquakes. Nearly 1,000 individual bronze curls were separately cast to adorn the supreme head.
Shining golden horn ornaments were mounted onto the roof ridge to complete the majestic profile.
An octagonal bronze lantern was beautifully detailed to stand permanently before the main hall.
Every element of the expansive grounds was carefully arranged to mirror pure celestial orders.
The completed interior stood as a majestic testament to medieval Japan's spiritual devotion.
The expansive stone floor was laid to support the immense traffic of future generations.
With the final touches perfectly realized, the reconstructed temple entered a new era.
Through subsequent centuries, the resilient wooden monument quietly braved the changing seasons.
A second devastating fire struck in 1567, demanding yet another heroic reconstruction effort. During the Edo era, dedicated master builders successfully restored the sanctuary once again. The hall was scaled down slightly to fit the limited availability of giant cedar timber. This final historic rebuild established the majestic silhouette that defines Nara today.
Modern preservation efforts began in the early 1900s to protect the vulnerable timber frame.
Hidden steel reinforcements were subtly integrated to secure the building against seismic activity. Continuous expert maintenance ensures that the ancient craftsmanship survives perfectly intact.
Every weathered stone and timber tells a profound story of destruction and absolute rebirth.
Todaiji remains a supreme symbol of cultural endurance, bridging the ancient and modern worlds.
Returning to the present day, the sheer scale of the temple still completely leaves visitors breathless. It stands now as a protected UNESCO World Heritage Site, celebrated across the entire globe. The monumental cedar timbers serve as physical links to the ancient craft traditions of Japan. The monumental cedar timbers serve as physical links to the ancient craft traditions of Japan. It endures not just as historic wood and bronze, but as a living monument to human resilience. It endures not just as historic wood and bronze, but as a living monument to human resilience.
Ancient civilization met the challenge through collective devotion, cementing a legacy that outlasts time. Ancient civilization met the challenge through collective devotion, cementing a legacy that outlasts time.